There's something not right with that man Dan Hurley, man. Something upstairs ain't quite firing. Caitlin Clark's last basketball game is kind of more important than South Carolina winning a championship. Giannis Antetokounmpo, you are on fraud watch. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy JP Joe Paul. We are back in the motherfucking building. Hope everybody's having a great day, a wonderful evening. I know that if you're either a University of South Carolina fan or you are a UCONN fan, you are on top of the world this morning because you guys were crowned national champions over the course of this past weekend, or Monday technically for UConn. But you know, it's just a great overall day to be around. Happy Tuesday, another wonderful Tuesday morning. We are back in the motherfucking building. Hope you guys leave a comment, subscribe. Welcome to another edition of Basketball Weekly. On today's episode, we'll be discussing, of course, our national championships. Not too much on the men's side, so if you're here for the men's national championship, not sure. I'm sorry, bro. I don't tell you. I did watch it last night. It was overall a great game, but you know, they don't have too much for you on the tournament. We have the recap of the Iowa-South Carolina game. We have the recap of the Iowa-Connecticut game because that game had a couple of weird little tidbits and kind of controversial things to come out of it. And then we're going to transition back into our regular NBA content because we are getting closer and closer to the NBA playoffs. I believe the play-in starts in, I want to say like a week and some change. So a lot of movement going around potentially in the NBA. So it's going to be a great show. Make sure you guys leave a like. Make sure you guys leave a comment. Make sure you guys subscribe. And let's go ahead and let's roll the intro. Joe, play that bitch.
Probing, piercing, spinning, hanging for the lead. And gets the ball, puts up a three-pointer. Bang! Steph Curry. Bryant on the move with the jump.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome back. Like I said before, another wonderful edition. Like I said, today we're going to start off with our brand new champions in the women's and men's basketball realm. So we're just talk very briefly first about the UConn Huskies defending their championship from last year, defeating Purdue, and really pretty handily. I believe their streak of 13 consecutive double-digit wins, or I think it's 12 consecutive wins by 13 or more. That's a loaded fucking stat, but I believe that record continues for UConn as they are able to hoist up their second championship. And listen, like I said, I didn't watch too much of the tournament as it pertains to the men's game, but that game yesterday, I feel like that really kind of gave me the microcosm of what UConn has been able to do over the course of this tournament, because while I wasn't watching it, I was always seeing on Twitter about how they were just always blowing teams out. Like they were South Carolina in their own right. Like for when it came to tournament play, they were the big dogs on campus. I believe they were the number one overall seed. They came back with basically a brand new team from last year. You know, I believe Jordan Hawkins was on that UConn team last year. They bring back a whole new team. You know, they had the National Play of the Year is in Purdue for Zach Edey. They're the one seed. I believe they're jostling back and forth for positioning in the one seed for a lot of the year. And it really just comes into this big culmination where you have the National Player of the Year against arguably the best college basketball team ever assembled. Because when you just look at how these guys played together, like they played a beautiful brand of team basketball. Like when it comes down to the plays they ran, when it comes to how efficient they set their screens, how they're able to get players open, just like the fluidity in their movement. Like they run, I believe they run a motion offense, which is like a very, very basic offense. Like I ran that offense in high school. But man, if we had ran that offense like that, the way how UConn ran it, bro, listen, we might actually been something instead of fucking garbage. Because the UConn Huskies, they are like a well-oiled boot machine. The way how they just how you can just tell they go from option to option to option, and they don't stop moving until they get the shot that they want. There were a couple of times last night where they had no problem running their sets until the shot clock started winding down to 10 seconds, 6 seconds, and then eventually they get the shot that they want, whether it be a lob at the rim, whether it be a pass, a backdoor cut to a leg, whether it be a three. Like the UConn Huskies, they don't take bad shots, and I think that on top of everything, on top of their wonderful defense they played on Zach Edey, he did get off. I believe he gave them I believe it was 30 and 10 or 37 and 10. He had a crazy stat line, but the guy was frustrated. The guy was flustered the entire night. He was seeing double teams from all types of different angles. I believe the guy's name is Spencer Spencer was out there playing hard as hell. Like he was out there, battling down there with Edie, trying to box him out. There a couple of times they got a couple of different touch fouls, for trying to guard somebody that big. Like I believe their big man Klingen, he got into foul trouble early. I believe their backup also got into foul trouble trying to fucking guard this behemoth. But the smaller guys had no problem sliding in and battling down there. And then on the offensive end, Purdue couldn't stop UConn for anything. Like whether it was UConn running their sets, whether it was UConn, they find a matchup that they like and they just attack it. There was nothing that the Purdue team could do to stop that UConn team. And it was a very enjoyable 40 minutes to watch. Like it kind of felt like you were going back in time, watching that game. Like if you're somebody like me who didn't watch much men's college basketball the entire season, you didn't watch much of the tournament, for you to see this shit, because the women's game is, 4 quarters, 10-minute quarters, and it's just like, it's its own thing. The men's game is still very old school in the aspect of, they run a lot of plays, not a lot of just, pick and roll at the top. A lot of focus on getting down to your big man. Like there were a lot of plays where, they throw the ball into Klingen and he's not necessarily looking to score. He's, people setting screens off of him and he's doing dribble handoffs and getting people open. Like it was a very, very, I'm going to say almost archaic style of basketball. Like it felt like you really just like went back into the time machine. It really just saw like what basketball, like that was the basketball that I was taught growing up. Like we were taught running plays. We were taught getting the ball into the post. We were taught, pivots, reverse pivots. We were talking about, jab steps, triple threat moves, all that good stuff. It was just a really enjoyable 40 minutes of basketball for me. I know that it was a very enjoyable for all UConn fans because, just total domination. You get the back-to-back champions. I believe UConn is now 6-0 in national championship games. Like this team and this program has become one of the blue bloods, one of the more well-known teams in all of college sports or sports in general. So shout out to the UConn Huskies. Dan Hurley, I ain't gonna lie. I don't watch much UConn, but from the little bit that I did watch yesterday, I can tell there's something not right with that man, Dan Hurley, man. Something upstairs ain't quite firing for that man. He's a genius. He is a genius. Don't get me wrong. In terms of how he coaches his team, about how disciplined they were, how like I was saying before, how sharp they are when they call their plays, how sharp they are in each scenario of the game. You can just see that guy has a couple of screws loose. He's a little crazy, but like in the best possible way. There was a time I believe he got a technical or I think it was an offensive foul because one of his guys was running the play and I guess they were running the play too slow and this man kind of stepped on the court and pushed the guy forward to get the play going and the ref is like, bro, you can't do that. Like you wilding. Like he's not right in the head, but he's perfect for this UConn team. He's perfect for if I was a college student and I was trying to look for a coach, I knew that was going to push me to the absolute best. Push me to my absolute best. Give me like the proper molding that I need to carry on to the next level. I'm looking for a guy like Dan Hurley. Because a guy like that, who I know, I could just tell he's in that practice on those kids' asses. Like, I feel like what we saw in the game yesterday was probably the light part of it. I think that's like the part that, we're on TV. We're not trying to embarrass the university. I'm still a fucking maniac, but I know how to behave in this scenario. I believe that once they get in practice, this man is a straight up ludicrous. I could see him cursing people out. I could see him like, get your ass over here. Like we all had a coach that had no problem touching you to put you in a position. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody remembers a time where you're fucking playing 5-on-5. You're running your 5-on-5 scrimmage, and the coach stops the entire scrimmage, and he's like, yo, Johnson, what are you doing? And he comes over here and he grabs Johnson by his shirt and he says, you're supposed to be over here. And now Johnson's in the right place, but you just like, damn, this guy's a maniac. I can 100,000% see that being Dan Hurley in UConn practices. And listen, bro, it works. The mold works. So like I said before, man, shout out to UConn, back-to-back national champions. Next year, I believe they have a pretty good chance of doing it again. And I might say, like, I'm not too big on the, the class coming in, the freshman classes and transfer portal and all that good stuff. But with them if they were able to bring back the same, general core of guys, there's no doubt in my mind that we could be looking at a potential three-peat. And then you're looking at a world where UConn is the only team to have both the men's side and the women's side win back-to-back championships. Like, I'm just grateful that I've been able to see the growth of the UConn program. Like, I remember the days when they had Kemba Walker. That's when they first came on the map to me, that 2011 championship. They come back, they win again with Shabazz Napier, and then they win back-to-back these past couple of years. It's just like, wow. Like, for years, I always heard about the women's game, the women's team, about how dominant they were. They had Breonna Stewart and Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird and Maya Moore and all these legends, but the men's UConn team in their own right has definitely, crafted their own path and, really just like grown to be one of the more prominent teams in all of college sports. So shout out to the UConn Huskies for their 6th national championship. But now let's roll on to a game I have a little bit more information already. Now we're going to talk about the South Carolina and Iowa game. Now, if you were watching the show last week, you knew there was no doubt in my mind that we were steamrolling towards South Carolina winning a national championship. With all the hype we were getting from Paige, everything we were getting from Caitlin and Juju, and just all the hype that was going on the other side of the bracket, it kind of remained common knowledge that as it pertains to the South Carolina side of the bracket, it was going to take a heroic performance to be able to overcome the buzzsaw that is the South Carolina Gamecocks for this year. And like when you just kind of look at the depth that this team has, when you've seen how the way I'm going to be repeating myself here. So if you've been watching the past couple weeks and you heard me talk about South Carolina, I'm sorry, I'm going to do it one more time. If you just look at the way how Dawn Staley is able to get this team running, like in this game, they started off down 20-9. Like there's a Caitlin Clark avalanche. Like it starts off with Caitlin Clark bombing threes. You're getting threes from Kate Martin's hitting threes, Gabby Marshall's hitting threes. You're just like, oh my God, is there a chance that Iowa can actually do this? And Dawn Staley, without even calling a timeout, she looks over to her team and she's like, hey, come on, man. And that enough. Before the end of the first quarter, I believe they have a lead or they're getting back into the game. And that's when you really start to notice like this big kind of talent difference that was taking part in this game. Like, don't get me wrong. Caitlin Clark is incredible, one of the greatest college women's basketball players we've ever seen. She is the only player on the floor for the Iowa team that would even get a look by South Carolina. Like, no disrespect, and I can't disrespect because these girls played great the entire tournament, who I'm about to name. But Kate Martin, Sydney Falter, Hannah Stukely, Gabby Marshall, there's no way in hell, let alone the 2 girls on the bench who played, there's no way in hell that those 4 girls were to get any play time for the South Carolina Gamecocks, whether it be this year or last year. They get no run because this South Carolina team was just so loaded from top down. You know what I'm saying? You have Tessa Johnson. You have Camila Cardoza. Tahina Powpow is a goddamn sniper. She comes out and gives you 3 threes. Tessa Johnson comes out and gives you 19 points off the bench, 7-11 from the floor, 3-6 from 3. Like, I think that she was really like, once she entered the game, she kind of shifted the momentum for them because, like I was saying before, in the first half, in the first quarter, Iowa was really putting it on South Carolina. Like I said, we had this big Caitlin Clark avalanche where she's bombing threes, and you're kind of in your head, you're kind of like, this kind of looks like a repeat of what happened last year for South Carolina. Like, they come out a little flat. They have this girl Caitlin Clark who's clearly ready to play, clearly is ready to dominate and put the team on her back, and now it's their turn to respond. And last year they were able to keep it close, but in the end they weren't able to get it done. This time, immediately they respond. It's like they almost saw it. They were like, you know what? We've seen this picture once before, and we're not going to let it go down this way. And a big credit to Raven Johnson. If anybody watched the game last year, everybody knows Raven Johnson became famous as the person who got waved off by Caitlin Clark. There was a play, I believe it was the top of the key 3. She was wide open, unguarded. Caitlin Clark was supposed to be guarding her, but instead of running out to close out on her, she kind of scoffed away at her, like, basically saying that she can't fucking shoot. And Raven Johnson had a really rough game that game, even though I believe she did end up hitting 3 threes in that game. But she has a rough game that game. She talks about how how she almost quit basketball because of that interaction, because now you have people like me who are coming on and saying Raven Johnson can't shoot for shit. She's just got disrespected by Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark owns her, And they lost the game on top of that. Like Raven Johnson just tells us how she was in a very, very dark place as it pertained to that incident. And for her to come back this year, don't get me wrong, she still can't fucking shoot. She still cannot shoot for shit. I know she had a big increase, I believe, from last year to this year in her 3-point shooting. In this game, she shot 1 for 10. Still can't shoot for shit against Caitlin Clark. But that's okay, though. What she did bring was, and this is a lesson for all young kids, if you're not going to score on offense, you better work your ass off on defense. And that's what Raven Johnson did the entire time she was guarding Caitlin Clark. Whether it was at the end of the first quarter, whether it was the second quarter, whether it was halftime, whether it was while she was getting water, whether it was she was changing her shoes, Raven Johnson was in her back pocket the entire time. And she made it very, very hard for Caitlin Clark. For Caitlin Clark to start off in the first quarter and have 18 points and to end the game with 30 points. That's a shocker to me, because I ain't gonna lie. When she started off with 18 first quarter points, I'm like, oh my God, the script is about to play out. We're about to get the Caitlin Clark 50 bomb to beat South Carolina and for her to win that championship and for her to declare herself undisputably, whatever the fuck the word is, as the GOAT of women's basketball. And Raven Johnson said, nope, not on my watch. And you kind of, like I said before, you could just see this kind of anger and this kind of fire from all the South Carolina players. Like when that lead was getting down, you saw Tessa Johnson, she hit shots. You saw Tahina Paopao, she was confident the entire time when it comes to shooting the ball. Malaysia Fulwiley, she came in and she was just, like, you could, like, I think that was the benefit of South Carolina losing the players last year and coming back with these freshmen, because the freshmen don't necessarily feel the pain of what happened last year. They weren't there last year when Caitlin Clark, dribbles the ball out, throws the ball over her head, and she starts taunting to the crowd. They don't have that memory, but what they do have is an undeniable skill set that Iowa has no chance in hell of guarding. Malaysia Fulwiley next year, when she's like off the leash, she's going to be incredible. When it comes to Tahina Paopao, she's coming back, I believe, for her year, another year next year. She'll be back. Tessa Johnson's only a freshman. She'll be back. Chloe Kitts, she came in. She's a freshman. She gave you 11 and 10 in the national championship game. This team, South Carolina team, was a team that really leaned heavily into their seniors, I believe, like their older players. They're Cardozas, they're Ashlyn Watkins, they're oh my God, I think I'm missing the girl's name. But they really leaned into their older players, right? Because they had the experience, they had been there before. But quiet as kept sitting on the bench, they have an atomic bomb waiting for them. And not to mention, they're also going to be bringing in 3 5-star recruits next year, 2 of them being Madison McDaniel, who is a crazy shifty guard, to play alongside Tahina in Malaysia. And then they're also bringing in Joyce Edwards, which is another incredibly athletic big body forward that can come in and it can fill in the void that's going to be left by Camila Cardoza. It's like this team is just getting started. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know people have been saying that they don't feel like this South Carolina team has gotten the proper, respect that they deserve with, having an undefeated season and everything. And I just think you guys are worried about the wrong shit. Yeah, could they have gotten more? How could they have gotten more attention for, going undefeated and winning a national championship? Of course. But here's the thing, though. Two issues that rise from that. One is, we've seen it before. We've already seen a team go undefeated and win a national championship. We've seen the UConn Huskies do it. You know what I'm saying? We've also seen the team fucking 4-peat. But, not just, that's beside the point. We've already seen a team go undefeated and win a national championship. I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm saying it's something that we've done, that we've already seen before. And secondly, hate to break it to you guys, Caitlin Clark's last basketball game is kind of more important than South Carolina winning a championship that we knew from jump they were going to win. Maybe not from the beginning of the season, but we knew that when this tournament started, that it was going to take somebody being a super mega human in order to beat South Carolina. And really the only person who I thought even had the possibility to do so was Caitlin Clark. Now, I saw very, very early in that game that was not going to happen. But it still does not take away from the fact of, let's do an example here. Let's do an example here. If in 2016, right, we had the Golden State Warriors. They finished off their 7-3-9 season with a championship. They come out and they sweep LeBron in the finals. You know what I'm saying? They're 7-3-9. They have the most wins in NBA history. They won their back-to-back championship. You know what I'm saying? Whoop-de-doo, they're on top of the world. If LeBron James were to fucking retire after that game, after he got swept, my nigga, that will be more exciting than the Warriors championship. I hate to break it to you. Basketball is, and at this point will always be, a sport where superstars are going to drive the narrative. We can have an incredibly amazing team. We had a team win 73 games. 73 games in a single season. And the only reason why that is now seen as an afterthought is because another guy played against that team, came back from a 3-1 deficit, and won the championship. That's the only reason why that shit doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that South Carolina fans, you guys need to just kind of, accept reality that, yes, this is an incredible achievement. We fucking love what's happening in South Carolina for Dawn Staley as a black woman. You know what I'm saying? I don't want it to turn into that, but as a black woman, and see her come into this male-dominated sport and to now be a 2-time champion, should be a 3-time champion, arguably, but, arguably, and just kind of like lead this program to a stratosphere where it's never been before. I think that we have to understand that, yes, the Caitlin Clark experience, it being over and now her transitioning to the WNBA, is going to be news that continues. Like, I was saying it in my group chat with my friends, like they were talking about how, it sucks that Caitlin Clark wasn't able to win a championship in 2024, win a championship during her college career. But here's the thing though. People will forget who won the 2024 national championship. I promise you they will. Give it 10 years. Give it 15 years. People will forget that the South Carolina's Gamecocks went undefeated in 2024 and won the national championship. They will never forget the Caitlin Clark experience. What Caitlin Clark did for basketball over these 2 years, her junior and her senior year, I don't think we'll ever see anything that crazy ever again. You know what I'm saying? And I am somebody who's super high on Juju, super high on her potential as a player. I just think that it would take her bursting onto the scene and becoming basically a 30-point, 10-assist a walking 30 points and 10 assists every single night. And I think Juju has the ability for sure to get the 30 points. Her playmaking is yet to be seen. But what Caitlin Clark has done for this Iowa program, like, it's not like she went to UConn. It's not like she went to Baylor or Stanford or any of these big teams that were known for, bringing in big talent and being in Final Fours. She stayed home. She's from Iowa. She went to Iowa University, and she fucking put the team on the map. She fucking introduced us to players that we might never hear from again. Like, we'll never forget, we might forget the name Kate Marshall, Hannah Stukely, Gabby Marshall, Sydney Foster. We might forget about these names. In a couple years. But just that overall experience, Caitlin Clark made those players prominent, made those players almost household names for a lot of people. And I think we need to just take a grasp at it and understand just what she's done for the sport of basketball. I have a little chart here that I have to pull up. And this is just a little example that we're going to do just to kind of show what Caitlin Clark has done in terms of popularity for the women's game. You know what I'm saying? I understand that there have been great players in the women's game for the entire time. Like, the duration of for the entire time that women have been playing basketball, we have had great players. We've had Tina Thompson and Cheryl Swoops. We've had Carol Candace Parker. We had Cheryl Miller. We had Taurasi and Sue. We have Brianna Stewart now. We have Asia Wilson now. We have amazing players. But when it comes to the popularity of the game, we haven't seen a jump like this in I don't know how long. So let's see. The 2019 Final Four. All right. 2019 Final Four featured the Baylor Bears, Notre Dame. The Final Four was Notre Dame, UConn, Baylor, and Oregon. You know what I'm saying? So the early semis gave you a decent yield of 1 million viewers. The second game with the UConn's the big team, the big name in the bracket. They come and they track out 2 million views. And then the championship game, Baylor versus Notre Dame, we get 3 million views, right? 3 million views. My God, my voice crazy. 3 million views. 2020, there was no tournament. In 2021, we get Stanford, South Carolina, UConn, Arizona. Right, Stanford ends up winning a championship. This is Cameron Brink's year. So the Stanford South Carolina game gives you 1.695 million. The Arizona UConn game gives you 2.715 million. You know what I'm saying? You still have your big name there. You still have your big fish. You have Stanford. You have UConn. You have South Carolina, who's now budding. Right. That only gives you a combination of about 9 million viewers. here we go. Here's where things get. We're getting closer to current day. Final four: South Carolina, Louisville, 2022, and then we have UConn and Stanford in the other matchup. South Carolina draws you 2 million viewers, right? UConn versus Stanford draws you 3 million viewers, and then the UConn South Carolina game brings you about 5 million viewers, which is a great jump from previous years. You know what I'm saying? In terms of just like viewership in the earlier games, like you see the population growing. Now let's go to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark. So in 2023, we have LSU, Virginia Tech, Iowa, South Carolina, right? Virginia Tech and LSU, get its own right, gives you 3 million viewers, which is almost a little bit less than the championship game the year before. Iowa and South Carolina gives you 5 million, almost 6 million views for one game, easily breaking the record for the most for viewers in the Final Four. Easily 5 million viewers. And that's not even the championship game. In the championship game, we're looking at almost 10 million viewers across ESPN and ESPN2, ESPNU, and ABC. The girl is moving mountains. Now let's talk about this year. This year, the fucking the Caitlin Clark hype train is at an all-time high. We're seeing fucking arguments on Twitter that I've never seen before. You know what I'm saying? We're having women's GOAT debates, women basketball GOAT debates on Twitter because of this Caitlin Clark effect, right? So South Carolina, NC State, everybody knew that game was going to be a blowout. I hate to break it to you. It was kind of a forced conclusion that South Carolina was going to win that game. It still yields you 7 million viewers, which is fucking fantastic. Breaks the previous record, breaks the viewership record for every previous year. Iowa versus UConn yielded you 14.2 million views across ESPN and ESPN2, right? Not even nationally broadcasted on ABC. You know what I'm saying? The national championship game between Iowa versus South Carolina, a game where I promise you, 80% of the population knew South Carolina was going to beat the dog shit out of somebody to win a national championship. That game yielded you 18 million views. 18 million views. And we have people that are coming out of their mouth to discredit Caitlin Clark's impact on the game. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Get the fuck out. We probably haven't seen viewership numbers jump like this since probably since the Magic and Bird era. It's not every year that you see somebody come in and become the new face of an entire sport before they become pros, before they become even professionals. You know what I'm saying? The jump that Caitlin Clark has given to the game of basketball is something that should be commended, something that should be fucking put on a pedestal, and something that should be just be loved and shared, because, my nigga, it's not going to happen a dime a dozen. It's not going to happen every couple of years. Now we have a player who has this much impact. I'm going to be tuned in to the women's college basketball season next season because I want to see Hannah Hidalgo and Juju Watkins and Paige's last year, and I want to see if South Carolina can repeat. I want to see all that shit. The casual viewer, I don't think they're going to do that. And I think that when we get viewer reports that come out next year and we just see the decline that took place because one person decided to graduate from college, we're going to be blown away. Not we, y'all are going to be blown away. I'm not going to be surprised because I see what the girl has done. I see how she put Iowa on the map. I see how she's out here influencing other people, other little girls to think that they can be just like her. And I'm only going to respect that. You're only going to hear positive things coming from me. I understand that Caitlin Clark is not the perfect player. And I guess we're talking about Caitlin Clark now because this transition to the Caitlin Clark discussion. Caitlin Clark is not a perfect player. She has her flaws. She has certain holes in her game that I think that she's going to have to address as she gets into the WNBA. But the narrative around her game, as if like she's only this good because she doesn't have great teammates, she's able to take so many shots, you got to take into account that these things that they also work against her. You know You know what I'm saying? You having to take all these shots can drastically bring down your shooting percentage. It can drastically fatigue you. Like, I'm not sure if the average person has ever had to take 25 shots. Or I'm sorry, I think she only takes 20 shots a game. If they've ever had to take 20 shots a game, in a basketball game, like, and still play defense and still have to, run up and down the court and still have to, run plays, still have to remember defensive rotations, still have to know how to fucking play the game of basketball while you're shooting. Like, it's not easy. It's not easy by any stretch of the word. She's out here having to bomb 30-foot threes just for, just as part of her package. That's just part of her arsenal. She's shooting 30-foot threes. The average person, I guarantee you, I can give you 10 shots. You might hit one. Like, it's just too much. The negativity surrounding her name, it's just gotta fucking go, man. It's just gotta fucking go. She ends her career as a 3-time NCAA All-Region player, 2-time AP Player of the Year, a Wooden Award winner, a 2-time Naismith Award winner, 3-time Big Ten Player of the Year, 2-time All-Big Ten, 2-time All-Big Ten Tournament, a Big Ten All-Freshman, 2020-2021 Big Ten Rookie of the Year, 2-time Big Ten Tourney champion, I believe. Or I think she won it 3 times, actually. I believe she won the Big Ten Tournament 3 times. She posts career averages of 28 points per game, 8 assists per game, 7 rebounds per game, a steal and a half a block, with about 5 turnovers a game, shooting 46% from the field, 38% from 3. And that, mind you, that's on half court attempts. That's on her shooting like many shots that are just sidestep bomb threes. 38%. Let's just look at her year-to-year stats. So as a freshman, Caitlin Clark put up 26, 6, and 7, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. Her sophomore year, she comes back, she gives you 27, 8, and 8. Then she comes back her junior year, kind of puts up a repeat stat line of 28, 9, and 7. And then last year, she comes through and she gives you 32, 9, and 7. And we got people like Diana Taurasi trying to tell me that this woman is going to struggle coming into the WNBA. Coming into the WNBA. Now, part of me doesn't understand where she's coming from, only because as it pertains to rookie point guards in the WNBA, there definitely usually is a little bit of a learning curve here for players that do play the point guard position. Like, let's see here. So here's just a list of number 1 overall picks and how they fared their first year. All right. So last year was Leah Boston. She put up 14.5 points per game, 8.4 rebounds, 1.3 blocks, 1.3 steals. Ryan Howard is a guard for the Atlanta Hawks. She gives you 16 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Charlie Collier, which is bad. I'm not even sure what happened for her. I think she got waived after 1 year. You know what I'm saying? That she the bright lights was too bright for her. You know what I'm saying? Sabrina Ionesco, she played 3 games, I believe, in her rookie year. I don't know if she got hurt or something, but she averaged 18 in those 3 games she did play. But in her first full year as a starter, she did come and give you 12.6 rebounds and 6 assists. Jackie Young, who's the point guard for the, one of the guards for the Las Vegas Aces, she was the number 1 pick before that. She gave you 6 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, but she did average 17 this past year. Asia Wilson, as a rookie, she gave you 21 points, 8 rebounds, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. Kelsey Plum, as a rookie, another point guard, she gave you 9 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, but she averaged 19 this past year. And then Stewie, she gave you 18 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 blocks. I'm sorry, 1 steal and 2 blocks. And then Jewel Lloyd gave you 11 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. So I get there's a little bit of validity to Diana Taurasi's statement. Like I said, I do understand that there is a little bit of a learning gap when it comes to the point guard position, but I think that Caitlin is coming on to an Indiana team that has so much offensive talent already in position there, with the Leah Boston, with Kelsey Mitchell. I believe I'm forgetting another double-digit scorer they have there. I think that her assist number is something that's going to automatically translate, and I think that with the thing that doesn't register to people is the fact that Caitlin had to do so much of what she did at Iowa, because if she wasn't like that person, she wasn't the person who's coming here and giving you 27 and 8, they probably weren't going to be a team that was going to be taken very far. You know what I'm saying? So going into the WNBA, she's going to be experiencing more talent. She's going to have more talent around her for her teammates, like Aaliyah Boston, number 1 overall pick just the year before. You know what I'm saying? Aaliyah Boston, I believe, was a 2-time champion at the University of South Carolina. Like, she is a beast in her own right. Kelsey Mitchell is a fucking bucket getter that can just, you know what I'm saying, give her the ball and she can score. The game's going to be so much easier. It's going to be so much easier for what's going on around Caitlin. She's going to get so many easy jump shots. If she ever, and I mean ever, learns that there is that she can score between the 3-point line and the paint, she's gonna be fucking unbeatable. If she ever develops a fucking floater, bro, if she ever develops one of those, bro, it's a wrap. It's a wrap, because right now she's very much a 2-level scorer. She either shoots a 3 or she gets a layup. No in between. And I think that when she gets to WNBA, there's a possibility where, you know what I'm saying, they're easier to lock that stuff up, because, you know what I'm saying, she's not necessarily going to want to she's not going to necessarily want to have to be going into the trees and going up against, you know, a Brittany Griner or an Asia Wilson or a Breonna Stewart or, you know what I'm saying, a Jonquel Jones or anybody of that nature. She's not going to go up against definitely not a fucking Alyssa Thomas in the paint. She's not going to want to go up into the trees with these big strong players in the paint. So she's going to need to be able to develop something in that little in-between area, because while she is a bigger guard, she is still a smaller person. She's still only 6'1". So she needs to definitely develop that in-between game, so she's able to, you know, effectively get her shot off better. And I think that once she develops that floater, then she's able to really put the help side defender really in a very tough spot, because if she gets professionally in a floater and she's already big and quick enough to get to the rim, now we're really dealing with an offensive beast on top of her playmaking, on top of the fact that she's also a good rebounder for her height. Now we're dealing with a full scary basketball player that I don't think really has any holes. And at that point, she could be dominating by the second half of year 1. We could be looking at a Wemby situation where she starts the first half of the WNBA season kind of chilling, and then she kind of figures it out, and then she starts tweaking, and she starts averaging fucking 25 and 6, 25 and 10 or whatever. But you know, I don't think that's necessarily going to happen to her, you know, as it pertains to her career in the WNBA. But I think that for her rookie year, all the chatter about the issues that she could potentially run into, I think it's all greatly just overstated. I just think that it's just hating. I'm be real with you. I was watching a little bit of the Diana Taurasi and the Sue Bird you know, their show on ESPN during the game. And, you know, as you can expect, it's a big UConn, you know, Homer experience. They have guests like Breonna Stewart there, you know, who went to the school also. And, you know, it just is a big UConn fest. And I ain't gonna lie, I've known this for a couple years. It's not necessarily new to me. Giannis Rossi's kind of an asshole. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I believe I saw it on Twitter. It was she is the first player that was, you know what I'm saying, she's known as the white mom, so she has that Kobe Bryant, you know, inside of, you know, that sounds crazy, that Kobe Bryant instinct inside of her, but she's also went to MJ's camp, so she's also kind of cut from the same kind of dickhead cloth of Michael Jordan. And I get it, but as just for a league, she's been a part of the WNBA, I believe, since 2005. And even speaking of rookie years, she also had a fucking phenomenal rookie year, so I'm not sure what the hell she's talking about. But as far as rookie years go, I'm sorry. As far as Diana Taurasi goes, she's been part of the WNBA since 2005. She's seen and been a part of all of the issues that have happened surrounding this league, whether it be, you know, lack of viewership, whether it be them not being able to get the chartered flights, or, you know, the treatment that they need, or, you know what I'm saying, they want more money per contract and all that good stuff. She's been a part of it for all of it. You know what I'm saying? And for her to come out and to be more or less hating on Caitlin Clark on her entry into the WNBA, it's just kind of confusing to me. I guess all the kind of people who are kind of well, she's gonna have to fucking prove it to us, it's kind of weird to me, only because it's I don't expect you to come in here and to say, oh, Caitlin Clark's gonna come in, she's gonna bust our ass, she's gonna come in, I can see her coming in and averaging 30 and 10 off the rip. I don't expect that from her, but I think that they need to understand there's just so much. There's just no need for this hatred for somebody who's single-handedly taking the sports to new heights. I'm not saying, is it a little bit of envy because we had players like Diana Taurasi, and, you know what I'm saying, Breonna Stewart did win 4 championships in a row, and, you know, Sue Bird also won championships with Diana. Is it because of they wanted to be this person that ushered in a new generation, but it's like one of those things where it's like, it's not your time, bro. It wasn't your time. It wasn't your time. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason, the stars weren't aligned up for them to be growing at where they are right now. And it's even confusing to me for Breanna Stewart. I'm not saying that Breanna Stewart's a hater. This is kind of just like a side tangent. I'm gonna go back to the regular program in a second. But the shit with Breanna Stewart is like, she's also going to reap the benefits from this. She's going to reap the benefits of Caitlin Clark coming in and bringing all these ad dollars in and bringing all these bringing all these seats in and all this good stuff. Like, they all are she's going to see firsthand the benefit of having Caitlin Clark in the league. And like I said, Breanna Stewart didn't say anything that was relatively crazy. That was really crazy. She's really just said that she's not the GOAT because she has to win a championship. It's just like, listen, it's weird. It was just a weird overall experience on, you know what I'm saying, ESPN with their show. I hate to say it, sounded like Diana Taurasi was like kind of like people compared it to when LeBron was coming into the league and they had the Cavaliers teammates saying, we don't need that nigga. We got niggas like LeBron already in the league right now. It's like, we don't have anybody that's shifting the landscape of everything that fast. All right, but yeah, enough of that though. That's all I've got. So on the Caitlin Clark discussion, let me just talk incredibly briefly. Should I even do it? I guess not, because I've already blown past it. I was gonna talk about the UConn Iowa game. I'm talking about it for 2 seconds, just 2 seconds. The Iowa UConn game was a great game. For if you got to see it, you know what I'm saying, Iowa was able to pull it off. Of course, how they make it to the national championship. The thing that made me want to talk about it is two things. It's the foul at the end of the game, the offensive foul on Aaliyah Edwards, and secondly, it is the Paige Bueckers. So let's talk about Aaliyah Edwards first. Aaliyah Edwards, she played an amazing game. Unfortunately, she gets that offensive foul that was most definitely, without a doubt, 100%, whether it's in the first quarter, whether it's in the fourth quarter, that is an offensive foul. You cannot set a screen in one, have your feet sliding, your body sliding out like this, and two, you cannot have your arms up this high to where you're fucking setting the screen and hitting the girl in the neck. You can't do it. That's an offensive foul. The crowd of people who are like, you can't call a foul in that moment. You gotta let the game be decided by the players. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about, my nigga? Because no matter how you slice it, the game was decided by the players. Because Aaliyah Edwards decided to set a fucking illegal screen instead of getting set. That's it being decided by the players. You wanted it to come down to, regardless of it, because you wanted it to come down to Paige Bueckers coming off that screen and just basically taking a shot for the game. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what you want. And I understand it. That's what I wanted too. When I saw Paige Bueckers come off the crackback screen, and I was like, oh shit, it's going to come down to a 3-pointer off the screen for the win, right? Fucking fantastic, phenomenal basketball. That's what everybody wants to see. At the same time, if that screen by Aaliyah Edwards, illegal screen, is not called, and Paige Bueckers hits the shot, will we then not be upset that Iowa got cheated out of winning a game because of an illegal screen? You see how it's kind of a dual-edged sword? I think what people really need to just start saying is that you shouldn't have called it because I wanted to see my niggas was going to win the game. That's all you care about. That's all you care about. Because I know at the exact same time, by this logic, if Paige Bueckers did catch the ball, she shoots the ball, but she gets hacked as she shoots the ball, and the ball comes up short, then what happens? Then are we still like, the players got to decide the outcome? Or are we like, the refs got to call that, man? It fucked up Paige's shot. It blah, blah, blah. And then we got other people making the excuse of the screen didn't even get Paige Edwards. The screen didn't even get Paige Bueckers open. Who the fuck cares? First of all, it was a dumbass play design. Anyway, why the fuck did Gino run a fucking crackback screen for a 3 in a game where they was down by 1 point? Doesn't make any sense. There's 10 seconds left. This man decides to first. Paige fucks up the inbound of the ball by calling a timeout in the backcourt, so they have to walk the ball up the court. But instead of just having your best player cleared out with one shot, because over the course of the game, you saw Paige could not be guarded single-handedly by anybody on the Iowa team. They could not stay in front of Paige Bueckers. You know what I'm saying? She was getting to the rim. She was, getting to the paint. She was hitting threes. She was playing a very crazy efficient game. Why are we not giving the ball to her in that moment? Take away the bullshit. Take away the possibility of a moving screen on an off-the-ball play. Just get the ball to Paige, put Nika, put KK, put everybody else in the corner. Aaliyah Edwards, Paige Bueckers, pick and roll, take us home, man. That's all they needed to do. And I think that Gino, as great of a coach as he is, he overthought that one. He overthought it and made it a bigger deal than it had to be. You know what I'm saying? Trying to draw up this big play. Because if you look at the play, fucking Paige was even going to be open if she caught the ball, because you had Nika in the corner. So Nika's the person guarding Nika is right there. You have fucking Caitlin Clark, I believe, is on the other side of the screen because her fucking defender is in the play too. Paige would have caught the play and literally been trapped in the corner. So it was just a bad overall play design entirely. So like that pissed me off more than anything. But last but not least, because part of me does want to go back and talk about this entire game, but I won't do it. I just want to talk about Paige Bueckers just for a second. Now, over the past couple weeks, I have been giving Paige tons of love, tons of respect, as she's been able to bring this UConn team back to the Final Four, you know what I'm saying, coming off her ACL injury and her other injuries besides that. For her to come back and to be the player that she was this year is incredibly impressive and deserves plenty of praise. But I gotta be real with you. Paige, you let me down on, what day was that? Saturday. You let me down on that day, Paige. And I'll tell you why. And I'm not gonna put too much onus on you, only because I do understand you guys have been playing shorthanded for a very, very long time. I believe you guys have been playing with, I think, 7 players since like the beginning of January. So I get it. Like, there's fatigue is a real thing. As great as somebody can play, once you get tired, you're not the same player. Like that's understandable. But the way how she shied away at certain parts throughout that Iowa game, it kind of like brought pause to me, because last week I was just saying about how she has the same basketball temperament of like a Kevin Durant. She's like somebody who was like, I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I'm very much a plug and play. I'll you know what I'm saying, do whatever the team needs me to do. And that's a wonderful, wonderful ability to have, you know what I'm saying, when you're, you know what I'm saying, just in general. Like, you want that person to be on your team. But when that person is also the best player on the team, you kind of need them to also have that little bit of selfishness where they're going to go and get a shot. Where they're going to go and get a shot for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Where they're going to go and create and kind of put the onus on themselves. And there were a couple of times throughout that game where I was really looking at Paige to go ahead and you know, become the aggressor, become the person. I believe it was like 4 minutes left in the fourth. I believe she got the ball and she did a pick and roll with Aaliyah Edwards, and it worked to perfection. They got it. They're probably their easiest bucket of the entire quarter off it. But that was the last time we saw that kind of like Paige as the ball handler, really for the rest of the game, because she scored a couple of points down the stretch of that fourth quarter, but it was like she called a pass for a layup. She got 2 threes in transition off of Nika Mule passes, or I think one was off of KK's pass. Like, she needed to be somebody who had the ball in her hands, because down the stretch of that game, you kind of got to see a little bit of the inexperience. While KK did have an amazing game, you got to see a little bit of the experience that is there for KK. You know, Nika Mule is not a big offensive player, and you know she's fucking fighting for her life, chasing Caitlin Clark around screens and being physical with her. I just think that in that moment we needed Paige to kind of put on the cape and just be like, you know what, guys, I'm going to lead us to where we need to go. And don't get me wrong, I am a firm believer that UConn also would have lost to South Carolina. There was nobody to beat South Carolina. But in that moment, what I think, like, as somebody who just like I was saying last week, if the game dissolved down to Paige versus Caitlin, I thought that Paige would be the better bet. But if Paige is like super calm, super want to fit in, don't step on toes, if that's her demeanor going into the WNBA, I can see that being a problem, because superstars win championships, and she is that. But you have to also act like a superstar. You cannot just have the superstar talent. Like, Kevin Durant is an amazing player, one of the greatest scorers the NBA has ever seen. The reason why Kevin Durant does not get the same respect of a Stephen Curry or a LeBron James is that he does not have the moments where he just puts the team on his back and says, you know what, guys, take me on the ride with you, bro. And you know what I'm saying? There was a couple of times where he did do that in Golden State, but the chips were so stacked against him that they were so stacked in his favor that people don't really count that. But like, there were times in Brooklyn, you know what I'm saying, times in OKC, and now times in Phoenix, where you're just kind of like, all right, KD, do it. And he doesn't do it. And I don't think that's who Paige is, but after this last game against Iowa, that's the person who Paige has showed me so far. So like I said, I would definitely be somebody who's tuned in next year. You know what I'm saying? I will be tuned into what Paige and you know what I'm saying, all the returning players and KK and how everybody does for this UConn team. But just like, that's just something that kind of was like, it really stuck out to me, and I didn't want to come on this airways and only be somebody who gives only praise, because, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day, I'm an objective basketball fan just like anybody else. I got no problem giving a little bit of shit to the players, even if I really, really respect you. All right, so I think that just about wraps us up for the women's college basketball season. What an incredible season it was. I had a whole bunch of fun just, you know what I'm saying, learning about all these new players, getting to see it all just play out. It kind of like brought my love for basketball back. It kind of definitely brought back my love for making content, because like every single week having to watch the games, write notes for the games, you know what I'm saying, compile this list and then have to regurgitate it into an episode, that became really, really fun. You know what I'm saying? And like, as much as I do love the NBA, it was great to now know that like I can also, you know, transition out into the college realm and still have just as much fun as I do in the NBA, as, you know, as a viewer, as a fan of the game and all that good stuff. So much respect to all the women out there who did their thing this past season. It was a great one. This tournament was electric. Shout out again one more time to the South Carolina Gamecocks. An undefeated season is fucking remarkable. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody can take that away from you or the fans. And yeah, we will now be transitioning back into our regularly scheduled programming, which will be our NBA content. So let's go ahead. We've already been here for damn near an hour, so I'll try to be quick a little bit with our NBA stuff right here. So the Dallas Mavericks are rising up the standards, man. They were 12-2 in their last 14 games at the time that I wrote down this note. I'm not sure what they are now. They went from the 8th seed to, I believe, the 5th seed is where they are at this current moment. Luka is giving you averages of 13 points per game, 10 rebounds, 10 assists during the span of this 14-game stretch. I am somebody who also said that they were the trade deadline winners. Just, you know what I'm saying, how they were able to bring in pieces that finally fit around Luka. And you kind of just see it all play out on the court now. It's not, you know, just me looking at names on paper. You see it night in and night out, how this team just now fits perfectly around him, how them adding those two pieces like a Daniel Gafford, like a PJ Washington, how that just opened up the possibility for Luka Doncic as everybody knows that he's a scorer that nobody can stop. You're not going to slow him down, but now he has actual teammates that are perfect for what he needs. He has a lob threat. He has a stretch big. He has a lob threat. He has a stretch big. He has shooting all around. He's got a great 3-and-D player in Dante Exum, which I think really filled a gap that was left by DFS last year when he was traded to Brooklyn. This team just makes sense around him, and now we're kind of just seeing like what the almost the final boss level of Luka Doncic looks like. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think over the past couple of years, we had seen teams that, you know what I'm saying, kind of had a couple pieces here and there, whether it be, you know what I'm saying, the right co-star but the wrong supporting cast, or the wrong co-star, right supporting cast. It all didn't fit. But now we have fucking Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, which is without a doubt, if you've been watching the Brooklyn Nets, or if you've been watching basketball at all since fucking 2016, Kyrie Irving is probably without a doubt the best Robin anybody can ask for. Like, you saw him with when he was with LeBron. You know what I'm saying? He's able to give you 40 points in the finals. You saw him when he was with Kevin Durant. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have crazy moments, but there were so many times where that Nets team looked so dominant because you have the super efficient, super beautiful scoring of a Kyrie Irving on top of the unstoppable scoring that is Kevin Durant. It just makes you automatically like those two players were a fucking offensive powerhouse, let alone when they added James Harden. And then now you see him with a guy like Luka Doncic, who kind of goes back to that same mold of a LeBron James, where Luka is super ball dominant. Luka will have the ball in his hand, but he has no problem giving it up and letting you cook. You see here, when there's no controversy, when there's no nonsense, Kyrie can play 53 games. He stayed relatively healthy, which is super fantastic. 25 points per game, 5 assists, 5 rebounds on 49% from the field goal, 41% from 3, Zero controversial posts on IG, and zero vaccine refusal opportunities. The nigga is straight balling. And this is what people are talking about when they say that Kyrie Irving is the most skilled basketball player that we've ever seen. The guy on a night-to-night basis can just do shit that you've never seen before. Like just the other night, I believe against Houston, he gives you 48, 49 points. And mind you, that's as a second option. Like that's when Luka is still giving you 34 points. He finds a way to slide in almost 50 points underneath that. You know what I'm saying? Like him, I think that he is even a better co-star for Luka than Jalen Brunson, because regardless of the amount of touches Kyrie has, he's going to be able to score the ball. Whether you give Kyrie the ball with 24 seconds on the shot clock or you give Kyrie the ball with 6 seconds left on the shot clock, he has almost the same ability to score from wherever he is on the court. He's got the 3-point shot. Everybody knows he has the handles. He has the crazy finishing. His game, as well as it being aesthetically pleasing, it's just like it's super. Like I think that it's super motivating for other players too. Like when you have a guy on your team that has the handles, is able to make somebody look stupid and do a super cool layup, that makes you want to come back down and play defense a little bit harder. It makes you want to get a steal so you can get in transition. He's been having a couple of moments where he's been showing his sneaky athleticism. He had a couple of, I believe he had a putback dunk, he had a couple of lobs. Like Kyrie Irving, when he's completely focused and locked in, is without a doubt one of the best second options in all of basketball. And you combine that with a guy like Luka Doncic, who's coming in, and like I said, he's giving you 32, 10, and 10 over the last 15, 16 games. You got to throw his name into the MVP. You got to throw his name in the MVP. Like, when I did my MVP list a couple of weeks ago, I was somebody who said that Shea should be the MVP because of, just his overall offensive ability and how he's able to put it together on defense. Luka kind of overtook him for that spot because, Shea's been dealing with a little bit of injuries. Okay, she's lost a couple of games here and there. And now we have Luka coming on at the right time. He's giving you 30-plus point triple-double. He already put up 70 points once this year. He's a much greatly improved defensive player, in terms of getting into the pass lane and everything. He's just like, he's turning fucking players like Daniel Gafford. You know what I'm saying? He's averaging 11 points and 7 rebounds a game, but he's shooting 76% from the field, and he's shooting 5 less minutes than he did when he was on the Washington Wizards. Derek Lively's going to make an all-rookie team this year because he's averaging 9.7 rebounds, but he's shooting 75% from the floor. The ease that Luka is putting on his teammates. Dante Exum, a name that was he was a lottery pick years ago, but he fell out of the league because you thought that he just didn't quite have it. He goes, he works on his game, he gets with Luka, and now he's putting up a career high in points, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, and 2-point percentage. Like, Luka is out here taking this team to crazy new heights, and now you look up and they're like arguably like one of the best teams in the entire Western Conference. And when you look at the standings about how things could potentially shake up, for them to be outside of that play-in range. Let me just pull up right here the standings real quick. I actually just want to see where they are in terms of home court. In terms of home court seating. So the Mavericks currently are 5th. They are 48-30. They are 2 games back of the Clippers. I think there's only like 3 games to go. So there's probably no real chance that they overtake the Clippers, but that matchup is probably more or less decided. They have a 2-game lead up on the Suns. So yeah, that's probably more or less decided. They will be facing the Los Angeles Clippers in round 1 of the playoffs. And listen, man, I know the Clippers have been playing better over the course of the last couple games. So they won 7 of the last 10. You know what I'm saying? They're 50-28, but Kawhi's dealing with a little bit of an injury right now. Russ, he came back from his broken hand. PG's kind of running into shape. James Harden the past couple games has been looking better, but I would not be surprised. And at this point, I might actually predict that the Dallas Mavericks probably upset the Los Angeles Clippers in the first round of the playoffs, just because this team is playing so damn magical basketball. Just some magical basketball. You can only give so much respect to Luka. Easily one of the best players in our league right now, and I think that it should be rewarded with a MVP this year. I think it should be rewarded with MVP this year. So shout out to the Mavs, man. Shout out to the Mavs, you know what I'm saying, doing big things. Let's talk about somebody who's doing a lot of small things, man. And that is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks. So the Milwaukee Bucks are fucking hot garbage. Let me say that again. They're hot garbage. Over the past couple of days, we have losses to the Knicks. We have the Knicks are a good team, so got that. We have losses to the Raptors, losses to the Grizzlies, losses to the Wizards. Let's see. They lost to the Lakers. Yeah, man, just not great basketball, man. And I think that for them to be hitting this little lull with with 4 games left into the season. Listen, they've already been up and down as it is. They've already been, turbulent. They started off, being controversial. Even when they were 31-13, they were like kind of seen as a team as like they should be better than they are. But then they bring in Doc fucking Rivers, and then they're basically a 500 team, and now you're just like, damn, all this shit is really kind of over. And I ain't gonna lie, the only reason why I want to talk about the Bucks is because I don't want to talk about Doc anymore. I've already talked about Doc Rivers. My feelings on Doc Rivers have already been known on this channel. What I will not stand for any longer is this shit with Giannis, right? I believe that Giannis, when he won that championship in 2021, I believe that was the year, was 2021, I believe he got catapulted into a stratosphere that he, at this point, I'm going to say almost doesn't deserve to be in. Because right now, Giannis is regarded as one of the best players in the sport of basketball. You know what I'm saying? His stat, if you look at his stats, they back up these claims. You know what I'm saying? I believe this year he's averaging over 30 and 10. Right? He's already a 2-time champion, already won a Defensive Player of the Year award, might have won 2 already. Multiple-time All-Star, champion, Finals MVP. And when he won that championship, added to that, to all his resume, he got lifted up to a stratosphere where he is now like regarded as like a made man because he won that championship. And I honestly think if he had not won that fluke ass championship, and I'm gonna say it's a fluke ass championship because when you just look at how everything surrounded around him, it was crazy. So first and foremost, we have the fucking the Boston Celtics. They have a bad year that year. I believe Jaylen Brown is hurt. So Jason Tatum has to go into the playoffs by himself, and I believe they're only a 7 seed or something like that because they played against the Nets. So boom, the Nets fucking beat the Celtics in 5, right? Beat the Celtics in 5, so they don't have to worry about the Celtics, a team that has historically given them problems every single time they face them. So they don't have to worry about the Celtics. Shout out to for Milwaukee. Now for round 2. In round 2, James Harden gets hurt. Kyrie Irving gets hurt by Giannis in game 4. He hurts his ankle. He's out for the series. James Harden has to come back and play on one hamstring the entire playoffs. They eventually still almost lose that series, but now because Kevin Durant wears a size 28 instead of a size 25, his foot is on the line. They go to overtime. The Nets don't have enough tank in the gas. The fucking Bucks win, and they move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. In the second round, though, on the other side of the bracket, oh shit, my fucking light came back and tried to attack me. On the other side of the bracket, we have the Atlanta Hawks playing against the Philadelphia 76ers. The 76ers, most years, if they weren't, 1, coached by Doc Rivers, and 2, employing Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons at the time, they probably win that series 9 times out of 10. However, because of the players that I just named before, that 1 times out of 10 can fucking come to fruition. Doc Rivers it up. Joel Embiid plays decent. You know what I'm saying? He has a couple of questionable games here and there that's able to keep Atlanta in it. And then the Ben Simmons situation happens, and I believe it was game 6 or 7, one of them. You know what I'm saying? He has the opportunity to score on Trae Young to give them a lead. He ends up passing it off. It goes to Matisse Thybulle. Matisse Thybulle gets fouled, splits the free throws. Atlanta ends up winning that game and the series, right? So now we have got literally when they talk about a perfect scenario playing out for you, we've already had that happen so far for the Bucks. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to play against Joel Embiid and the Sixers. We don't have to play against the Boston Celtics. The Brooklyn Nets are actually a team that we actually match up with very well because they don't have great length in the paint. We are a team that dominates in the paint. We have Bobby, we have Brooke, we have Giannis. We're going to dominate in the paint. So, you know what I'm saying? You also add in a couple of injuries for the Brooklyn Nets. And now we're in the conference finals. They go into that series against Atlanta. Don't get me wrong, not everything was peaches and cream for them. Giannis gets hurt. You know what I'm saying? He hurts his knee. I believe he ends up missing the last 2 games of that series. But the Bucks are able to pull that series off. Let me just say that it's kind of crazy that a team is able to win the Eastern Conference Finals with its best player, superstar player missing. Just think that's a little fucking crazy. But so they now go into the NBA Finals. And they do go have some adversity. You know what I'm saying? The Phoenix Suns, they do go up 2-0. Giannis is not looking great in game 1. He's still recovering from the whole knee injury thing. I believe he had to get a ligament removed or something like that, some cartilage removed in order for him to be able to play. But he comes back. You know what I'm saying? They are playing Chris Paul at the end of the day. Chris Paul just can't have great things happen to him. So, you know, as great as it is that he's able to make it to a finals, he's not able to win the finals because, you know, Giannis has this amazing performance. And don't get me wrong, Giannis did perform amazing in those finals. Like, definitely the last game, he gives you 50 points, and I believe it was like 20 rebounds or 15 and 17 rebounds. He hits a whole bunch of free throws. He had the block against DeAndre Ayton. He had the fucking lob dunk against on Chris Paul. Like, he had plenty of moments in that series, and that probably added to the fuel of like moving up to the stats where he didn't belong to. But he wins that championship, right? He wins that championship. You know what I'm saying? More power to him. If you want to say that things worked out perfectly for him, hey, fucking man, that's sports. Since then, this man has done nothing but been a fucking dad joke and meme machine instead of being this fucking big, great basketball player we all thought he was going to be. His numbers are fantastic. They come back the following year. Chris Middleton is hurt. I give him a little bit for it, but they're able to get to, I believe, a Game 7 against the Boston Celtics. The Celtics, they get a crazy game by Jason Tatum, and they're able to win that game. All right, but there's no there's no Chris, so you're not going to really beat him up too much about it. The following year, last year, they are a first seed playing against the 1-seeded Miami Heat, and they get the dog shit beat out of them in 5 games. 5 games. They get the dog shit beat out of them. So they fire their coach. And they bring in Adrian Griffin. They also get rid of the guy that helped you win that championship in 2021, Drew Holiday, the big free agent piece you brought in that year. You get rid of Drew and you bring in Damian Lillard with your big plan being like, we need somebody that's gonna be able to help Giannis on the offensive end, right? The Adrian experience then takes off. They're 30-13, but Giannis is like, this is just speculation. I don't know shit to know for sure, but I feel like Giannis is like, this guy just doesn't quite get it. He doesn't quite have what I need in a head coach. You know what I'm saying? Mike Budenholzer didn't have it either. But Adrian Griffin, like, I don't like his rotation. I just think that we're disjointed. I think there's times where we look sloppy. I know we're winning games. I know we're 30-13, but I just don't think he's the right guy. So they like, you know what, bro? No problem. Fuck Adrian Griffin. Get him out of here. Bring in Doc Rivers. And now here we are. Now we're supposed to take off. Now we're supposed to fucking finally have the pieces that we need and you know, be able to compete with the Boston Celtics. And if not compete with the Boston Celtics, be able to maintain our status as the second best team in the East. At the very least, we have that. And while we have been having great games by Giannis, and he's putting up historic numbers, I believe, this year in terms of his efficiency and scoring 30 and 10 and all that, he has not led this team at all. They are still dog shit on defense. They still go through these weird ass sporadic fucking lulls on offense. They still look disjointed sometimes. And as much as I want to, and it feels like low hanging fruit to blame Doc Rivers, we gotta look at Giannis, because Giannis is the nigga that's really been here the entire time. He's been the guy who's kind of been molding this kind of new foundation for the Milwaukee Bucks, and it's kind of like seems like kind of a goofy one if you ask me, because when you ask him a question like, "Oh, Giannis, do you consider this to be a failure?" he says dumb shit like, "It's not a failure, it's just steps to success." Huh? Nigga, what? That doesn't quite sound right. That's a little weird. All right, no worries. He's so heartbroken about Drew Holiday being traded, but that didn't stop him at all from them fucking trading Drew Holiday. You know what I'm saying? He's saying things like, "Oh, this is Dame's team. This is not my team." It's like, bro, what? You think that Dame left Portland to come over here and want to carry Milwaukee? No, nigga. It's supposed to be you the guy, and I'm supposed to be in this bitch aiding you, and we work together. But it just seems like Giannis doesn't quite have the it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a very hard thing. I'm not a fucking dictionary. I'm not sure what the perfect thing to say is, but he does not have that it factor and that leadership quality that you look for in a guy that is supposed to be your franchise leader, your franchise, the guy who steers the direction of your franchise. Like, I think that the Doc Rivers hire at this point is a cover-up for something bigger. I don't know what, but something's not right in that organization when it comes to Giannis in the front office. And I just feel like Adrian Griffin became the fucking scapegoat on it, because like it just hasn't been fitting. It hasn't been fitting, and I just want to say this: Giannis Antetokounmpo, you are on fraud watch, bro. This playoffs, I'll even give you next one. You have this playoffs and you have the next playoffs. If you can't get your team back to a conference finals or back to an NBA finals, bro, I ain't even gonna lie. I'm taking you off. All the progress you made to become one of the best players in the league right now, to me, you dropping back down. You're gonna end up on the same tier as Kevin Durant. Because at the very least, bro, this team needs to at least see a conference finals or NBA finals. And they better not make the conference finals and losing like fucking 6 games. They better make it at least 6 games. If you are the guy that people expect you to be, these random fucking lulls with the team just looks like absolute dog shit has to fall on you in some regard. Because you're the guy who plays all the time. You're the guy who's fucking leading this organization. You're the guy who is directing this organization. And you're the guy who the team follows. But I think that you're just so busy being a fucking goofball meme factory that you're not able to mold this team the way how it needs to be molded. And I think that when they lost a player like Drew, who I think probably did a really good job of really like shaping the mentality of the team on the defensive end, there was nobody to fill that gap. And it was supposed to be you, Mr. Defensive Player of the Year. Brooklyn's an old ass man. Bobby Portis is fucking not a defender. It was supposed to be you, and for whatever reason, it's not. So I just want to say that for a minute, because I just think that Giannis, he can give me more. He can give the Milwaukee Bucks more, and Lord knows the Milwaukee Bucks need it. But that's all there is for this episode of Basketball Weekly. I said I would be quick with the basketball stuff. It only took us like probably another 30 minutes or so, or whatever, 20, 25 minutes. But make sure you guys leave a like. Make sure you guys leave a comment. Make sure you guys subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next episode. We will be back to our regular full basketball podcast, full NBA podcast next week. So be here, and I will be here as well. Peace and love, family. Deuces.